Here with us now is Major Glenn Ignazio, former Air Force Special Operations Commander, a military analyst for us many times. Thank you, Glenn, for coming on today. What about that, the future of Syria? So we've been talking about the folks who took over, on the tablet of the rebel leader, Golani, who people who talk a lot about there, and 42 years old and used to have these ties to al-Qaeda, but has supposedly changed his stripes and changed his views. Let me put a quote up from the interim Prime Minister, Mohammed al-Bashir, during the prayers today, saying that victory and the liberation of the land is not just about breaking chains or raising flags. It is the birth of a nation, the restoration of dignity, the writing of history. So what's your level of optimism whether they can get this done, so to speak, in Syria?
I'm definitely staying optimistic on this. I think it's a great thing, first of all, to see, Assad overthrown in that oppressive government that was horrendous to many, many people, thousands of people. And to see this turnover is really good. I mean, the big question is, what is the future going to be? What kind of government? They want an inclusive government. And the idea that in this short time since he has been overthrown, to see the control, to see the calmness and the organization of people out there safely being able to express themselves is really the best thing. I mean, unfortunately, if you look at what happened in Iraq when Saddam fell in the complete chaos, this is different, and this is a good thing. So hopefully this continues to be an inclusive and a freedom type of perspective that we get with a new government.
What's the role for the U.S. in that? There have been some who said, we actually had this debate on the show yesterday, that the U.S. may want to stay out of it because sometimes we try to impose our will and it doesn't go so well. Here's Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, who was in Baghdad speaking about the situation earlier today.
As Syria transitions from the Assad dictatorship to hopefully a democracy, it does so in a way that, of course, protects all of the minorities in Syria, that produces an inclusive, non-sectarian government, and does not become in any way a platform for terrorism.
So does the U.S., Glenn, actively shape that? Or remember, Trump was saying, paraphrasing, we got to stay out of it, not our issue, basically. It's their issue.
Yeah, I think honestly that we sort of stay on the outskirts and sort of keep things contained. I mean, we've had 900 troops in there that have been keeping ISIS down. That was their main mission, even working with the Kurds. There are some Kurdish issues because Turkey doesn't like it, but we won't get into that. But the idea that the United States keeps that entire terrorist option of the ISIS out of the way, keeping them completely subdued and completely out. I believe that's the same thing that Israel has done by doing some incursions over into the buffer zone. So to let them develop their own nation and develop it the way they want to, and that type of freedom is great. However, to keep them away from the terrorists, not letting any kind of vacuum sort of create where ISIS could come in, I think that's about the most that we should get involved to keep that safe. But I don't think we should be, again, as you mentioned, imposing our will. Let them expose that, and hopefully they can get it to be inclusive and free as it seems to be starting. So, yes, I think we're in a good position to sort of hold back and watch what unfolds and keep the whole terrorist organizations like ISIS and so forth out of it. That's our best role to play.
Man, it has been remarkable to watch after such a long civil war how quickly the last couple of weeks have unfolded. Well, you're an Air Force guy, so I'm not going to let you get out of here without weighing in on this drone story. We were just talking to a former retired Air Force general about it a few minutes ago. I mean, like I said at the top of the show, we saw this at the beginning, and these drones are getting reported to New Jersey. So people can't explain them. Then it's New York. Now, my guess is the more they're reported, the more people are reporting seeing them, right? And some of them are maybe not legit, or maybe just a plane or whatever. But also, there seems to be something going on that we don't know about, and that is strange. So that gets people, when you don't know something, you start to fill in the blanks, which can be dangerous. What do you make of it? It's something weird going on.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, is the mystery. First of all, people probably weren't noticing drones because they weren't looking for them. Right. Guess what? People are now looking for them, right? So that's where you see all of a sudden you're seeing something because you're looking for it. I think a lot of people also, if they don't have the knowledge, are looking at a small airplane and a drone saying, hey, is that it? So I think a lot of it is this fervor, a lot of attention and things that are being brought up. However, as far as the fact of, is this a malicious event or terrorism? No, I don't believe that's the case at all. They are visible. The same thing as if they were in restricted areas, you're going to see a lot of assets go and try to intercept that. There's means of taking them down, not from kinetic, but electronic, where you can jam them, they can land. Certain systems are out there. Okay. But I do believe that it's more excitement and I think that's really what it is. I don't think it's really anything bad other than
Wouldn't be
people really
something the
paying
U.S.
attention.
military would have nothing to do with anything the U.S. military would be doing, you don't think? Or
No, honestly, if they're over restricted areas, like say where the president is, or sort of restricted
right,
areas of military facilities, yeah, and there's electronic means to be able to take those down. It doesn't mean you're shooting something down. That would be bad if it turns out to be a single engine airplane.
right.
But electronically, you can bring these things down. But those are over those restricted sensitive areas. The other thing is if they get close to air traffic, there's near misses that happen around at large airports. They shouldn't be around there whatsoever, and that's what
Right, if it's some
really
sort of
got
a
to watch out for.
hobbyist or something like that. But why? Explain just real quick again. Why don't you think, given your military experience and like that, it's anything, that's a foreign government or foreign adversary? Why don't you think that?
One, it'd be absolutely stupid. The other thing is there's
Okay.
no mothership. We would see those on the radar.
Well, that was a
And to tell you the
congressman from
truth,
Jersey was saying that, yeah, and
yeah,
everybody went to no, no, no. There's no proof of that. There's no proof of that. But Rich, you see there, he
yeah.
says he saw it himself last night. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so people are out there. The other thing is you got to remember a lot of people that are teenagers and stuff that are flying these things now are going to fly them because they're going to get attention. I mean,
That's
there's
true.
so much around this, right? I mean, it's a fun thing to do. Let's get some attention on this. But I don't think it is unless it was really over restricted area and maliciously doing something. As the general said, you wouldn't have your lights on. But if they do get near airports and everything like that, you do have an accident situation that could occur, and that's dangerous. That's when you could electronically take these things down or go after them. And there are ways to follow these drones to whoever's owning them. But I'm not concerned about it unless you actually see some action or they're observing military sensitive areas. And that's a whole different story. And that hasn't happened yet. And if it does, I think actions will be taken.
Yeah, take them out of the sky or jam them up, like you said. All right, thank you, Glenn,
Yeah,
for all of that
absolutely.
and everything as usual. Glenn Ignacio. Now,